Dear viewers, welcome to this episode of Your Life, Your Money. Investment at times can become very difficult, particularly when you focus on short term events that are happening in the market. In this episode, I'm going to explain why it becomes difficult and how you can conquer this difficulty and work to your advantage. Stay till the end of this video. Every point I discuss here is very important if you are a serious investor. This is NRI Money Clinic for you, and I am Dr. Chandrakant Bhatt, your financial guide for a happy living.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
In the last couple of weeks or in the couple of months, we did a lot of videos talking about what might happen going forward, what the situation we perceive, what might happen in the market. I spoke about the liquidity section in the US market. I spoke about the elections that are happening in India. Then we discussed on the Israel-Hamas war, and we said markets may remain sideways. What did the market do? Market gave an egg on my face, and markets moved up. As I record, the markets moved up and created a lifetime highs in India, and it is still going through a short covering which may push up the market by another 2-3 percentage points on the up. In the US, markets are on the verge of conquering the previous peak, at least on Dow Jones. Nasdaq as well as the S&P 500 are still way below the previous highs, but at least it appears that the Dow Jones index is making an attempt to conquer the previous peak. How does this happen? Why we cannot gaze what will happen? The fact is that any advisor, any commentator can make an observation, can give his judgment, but it doesn't mean that the markets will listen to him. Market has a knack of its own. It has a great capacity to prove everyone wrong. So we are not above the wisdom of the market. We are subservient to the wisdom of the market. So when we make a comment, when we give you a judgment, take it with a pinch of salt, and always believe things which are reverse of this can definitely happen in the market. Markets has this uncanny knack of giving surprises. Now let's look at the history. At any point of time, you go back to any year, pull out the newspaper of the day, or if you are in a position to retrieve the television headlines of that particular day, world is never a smooth sailing place. There are always waves there, there are always turmoils there, there are problems in the economy, there are wars between the country, there are differences of opinion. The world never looks, a quiet place or a safe place to invest. That's the story at any point of time. You go back 10 years, 15 years, decades behind or centuries behind, the story is same. It's said that if you want to swim in the sea, you have to learn to swim with the currents of the ocean. That cannot be escaped. That's very much true in the stock markets. See, there is one specific way the markets move up. It's called the markets will climb the walls of worry. Markets are always worrying. The investors are always worried. The general public is always worried. They do not know what might happen. But the markets over longer periods of time will invariably inch upwards, and they will climb the walls of worry. For many a times during this climbing of worry, it becomes like a snakes and ladders game. Markets will climb up, markets will correct, go back to a particular level, and they start the journey all over again. Sometimes markets may not do anything. I have spent more than 30 odd years in the stock market, and I have seen periods of Harshad Mehta scam. I have seen a period where the stock market has not given anything for 10 long years. I'm not talking about a Japanese market or a Chinese market. I've seen this in India between 1994 to a period of 2003-2004. For 10 long years, markets in India haven't given anything. It's a period of extreme turbulence. It's a period of uncertainty in the government. There was economic turmoil. India was on the brink of disaster. There was a currency crisis in Southeastern Asia. There was a dot-com bust. 10 long years, a decade was lost in the Indian stock market. I've seen periods where in the recent past, between let's say 2009 to 2014 period of time, the market's not doing anything for 5 long years. I've seen a period where markets have moved back by 60%. In the year 2007, the markets were at 21,000. They retraced back to 8,000. So everybody was prepared to invest their life saving at 21,000. But when we called out people to invest in the stock market, when the market retraced at 12,000, people were hesitant. So when the markets reached 8,000, again they gave a surprise. The bounce back which happened took the Sensex all the way up to 16,000. People who drew courage, invested their money, had confidence in the advisor's advice, made money, literally doubled the money in 1 year's period of time. But people who invested at 21,000, what happened to them? The 21,000 peak which was made in 2007 was not conquered till about 2014. So when you invest at the peak of the market without knowing the valuation of the market, then it can become a very tricky game. You need to know how to handle the markets. You need to know the method to invest in the market. You need to know how to handle the time. If you do not know this particular technique, then any amount of investments you make can create a very bad taste in your mouth. In my experience of 3 decades, what I can say for sure for everyone, whether you are an Indian, whether you are an NRI, whether you live outside of India, whether you invest in India or outside of India, one thing is absolutely certain. Market will reward the patient. You must have patience. If you become impatient and you walk in and walk out of the market, market will not reward you. Market will invariably reward you if you stay invested for long enough period of time. It could be 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, more than 10 years. It's perfectly possible. But if you give the patience it deserves, market will invariably reward you. I told you about the period of between 94 to 2003, where for 10 long years, market did not do anything. But people who put money, stayed invested in the market, what happened subsequently? It completely, the situation changed overnight. Between 2003 to 2007, markets moved all the way up from 3 to 4,000 on the Sensex to a level of 21,000. That's unimaginable. That's the reward the markets gave for the patient investors. You must be prepared to give the time. Don't come to the market with, I have 1 year's time, I have 2 years' time, I have got 3 years' time, I have got 5 years' time. Yes, it's long enough, but markets can play its own game. Market is final result of several things which are happening in the economy. It's a sum of many moving parts, very difficult to predict, plus the psychology of the investors, plus the commitment of the institutions, plus how many people are leveraged, the movement of smart money, a lot of moving parts in the stock market. You must be able to give the time it deserves. Stock market is for a person who wants to invest for more than 10 years. Anything can happen in less than 10 years. Keep this at the back of your mind. If you are prepared to give this, you don't have to worry about whether markets will give you money or not. It invariably rewards you more than your expectations. Now let us look at what is the role of advisors in this investment game. Can an advisor give you a high rate of return? Can he promise you a high rate of return? The answer to this question is a clear no. Advisors cannot get you great return. If advisors cannot get you great return, from where will the return come from? Returns will come because of, it's a function of the interest rate which is there in the economy, the growth that is happening in the economy, how much of inflation is there in the economy. These 3 factors will dictate how much returns you are going to get. It's not the advisors who is responsible, or it's not the fund manager who is responsible. If it is the advisor or the fund manager is responsible to get the returns, then the markets will not, you will not see periods of lull in the market. I told you about 10 years period where market did not reward you. Then the great fund managers would have given you the return. They could not. So because the conditions were not favorable to them. If advisors cannot get you high rate of return, then what is the role of advisors? Why should you have an advisor? That requires a little bit of introspection. The role of an advisor primarily is to handhold you during your turbulent times. The market's correct, you are doing it on your own, you don't know whether you are right, wrong, so he will handhold you. he will become a beacon of light in a dark jungle. Likewise, an advisors will prevent you from going and falling into the ditch. The advisors will help you to keep your vehicle right on the road and prevent it going and falling into the ditch on the either side. So they will help you to select right and sit tight. This is the primary role of the advisors. There is also another reason why you should engage advisors, because you cannot do things on your own. There is a video which I have done earlier, why do it yourself is not a good model for most people. You can find it on my channel, watch it, where I have given detailed explanation why it doesn't make sense. For the purpose of this video, let me briefly explain to you why it is difficult. Number one, look at your life. How many places you have to focus on? The primary focus has to be at 2 places or 3 places. The first place is your career. That's where you make money. That's where you help build the funds required for your day-to-day living, and that requires enormous amount of time. The second thing is your family. That's where your happiness comes from. When you go back, you have to be spending time with your family. It's very important. They are there with you throughout. The third element is you are a human being. You get tired. You have a need for rest. You have a need for entertainment. 24 hours you have is consumed by 3 primary activities. Now, over and above this, if you try to take this investment thing on your plate, it can become a clutter over there. It can stress you. Instead of de-stressing you, it can become a stress for you. This stress is taken out by engaging an advisor. See, now in case of sports or in case of finance, it's all an advisor-driven industry. Tendulkar can be playing the best game, but he works with a coach. Vishwanathan Anand plays with a coach. The Reserve Bank of Governor gets advised. The finance minister gets advised. The fund managers gets advised. So it's an advisor-driven industry. What one person cannot do on his own, he is helped by the advisors, and they have taken it up as their profession. It's as simple as that. If investment is becoming difficult, what as an investor you can do to make it more pleasurable, more rewarding, and where you will not get affected? The first thing is accepting that volatility is the name of the game. You cannot avoid volatility. First, understand that if you are trying to say that I will invest when everything is fine, that day will never come in your life. You have to invest with the currents. You have to swim with the currents in the ocean. It's not a small tank where the water can remain static. It's not. It's always volatile. So the volatility actually works in your favor. If you learn the trick of making volatility work for you, then you will become very, very successful. So accept, whether you are a do-it-yourself investor, you are somebody working with somebody's guidance, accept that you are investing, knowing very well that volatility is here and you have to live with that. Only then you can feel happy with your investment. The second thing as an investor that you can do is work with the advisors. As I told you, what is the benefit of advisors? I've explained just a while before. Work with your advisors. They take a lot of work that you are supposed to do, and they will take out that worry part away from you, and they'll give you a reassurance what is working, what is not working, and they'll make sure that your investments will not go bad. The third thing as an investor that you can do is extend your time horizon. Don't invest in the marketplace keeping a short time frame. The longer the time frame, it works to your advantage. We all talk about compounding. The compounding will not work in your favor in 3 years, 5 years period. The compounding effects can be seen when you stay invested for more than 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. That is where the power of compounding comes in. It will not work in 1 year, 2 years period. So when you are investing, if you don't have a time horizon of less than 10 years, anything can happen. You can still make money, but you may not make money. That's a perfect possibility. If you have less than 3 years, my simple suggestion is don't even come to the stock market in any of its forms. The minimum time horizon that you must have is 3 years. An ideal time horizon is more than 10 years. Peter Lynch says at one point of time, I can predict the stocks over a 20 years period, and what happens between these 20 years, you can as well flip the coin and decide it will go this way or that way. And he says, I have bought stocks with $20 and they have become $2 after I purchased. That perfectly is normal thing to happen in the marketplace. So increase your time horizon. And when you increase your time horizon, you will be very surprised to see markets will never ever surprise you. If you don't trust my words, all that you have to do is one simple exercise. You take any time frame from now, go behind 20, 30, 40 years, whatever the period you want to. Take one reference here. Let's say we are at 2023 right now. Go back 5 years, go back 10 years and see where was the Sensex. Now take the reference here as 2018. Go back 5 years from there. Go back 10 years behind there. Every 5-year block or 10-year block, if you see, the markets have rewarded. So this is a proof to say that by lengthening your time horizon, you will make enormous amount of money. Investors have a problem. They invest the money and they want to know the latest scorecard. I was a stockbroker myself at one point of time. And somebody will buy a stock and he'll call me and tell, how much is it now? After an hour's time, he'll call and tell, how much is it now? At one point of time, I got very angry. I told him, Mr. Gentleman, look, if you get admitted to the hospital, your doctors may not see your pulse and heart rate so often, and you are asking how much the stocks have moved up. That's not investment, that's speculation. That means you bought it, you expect it to go up. Whether it goes up or not is a function of several things that are happening at the marketplace. So clearly differentiate between speculation and investment. Investments require time. The best time is a time horizon of more than 10 years. The next thing as an investor that you have to do is, do not try to time the market. One often asked questions with is it a good time to invest? Yes, it is a good time to invest. But when is a good time to invest? When you lengthen your time horizon. Ask yourself the correct question. The correct question to ask is, what will happen in the Sensex next month is not the right question to ask. What will happen to my investment 1 year down the line is not the right question to ask. Ask yourself, where will the Sensex be after 5 years? Where will the Sensex be after 10 years? That's the right question to ask. And that question will be answered at any point of time with a positive number. In 2008, the market was at 21,000. People said 21,000 is the max, right? Where did the market go? Today market is at about 68,000. So if you give the time it deserves, market will invariably reward you. So don't try to time the market. This is the perfect time. When the Sensex has dropped from 21 to 12,000, so the timing was not right. From a valuation perspective, it is right, because from 12,000, it dipped to 8,000. It recovered from there all the way to 16,000 is a different story. So the best philosophy to follow here is invest at regular intervals of time. Don't worry what market is doing. Don't worry whether the market is high, low, whatever it is. Be a disciplined investor. It could be your SIP. It could be buying the stocks at regular intervals of time, paying premiums to your unit-linked insurance plans. Anything could be fine. Be a disciplined investor. Invest at regular intervals of time, and that works in your favor. The last of the things the investors have to do is follow the process. The process says, be prepared for all eventualities. Because markets are going through a bull run, do not overload your investment portfolio only with the equity. If the markets are falling or stagnant, then do not overload your portfolios only with a debt fund. Make sure that you have all the components that are required in an investment portfolio. Your portfolio should be designed for all weather conditions. A cricket match is played with the fast bowlers, the spinners, all-rounders, the batsmen of different caliber, and that makes a team. Your investment portfolio is similar. It should have all kinds of things. You should have debt funds, you should have aggressive funds, you should have hybrid funds, you should have gold in your portfolio, multi-asset should be there. Then it can become an all-weather portfolio. If you do this, then there is not going to be any problem for you to hit success in your investment journey. By the way, if you are looking out for professional assistance to build your portfolios and help you in your investment journey, services of NRI Money Clinic is always available for you. We have team of experts on the ground who specializes into different facets of financial planning. Our number is shown here in the description box. You can reach out to us through this numbers which is given here. There is a WhatsApp link also what we have given. Just click on the link. It takes you to the WhatsApp. Send us the message. One of us from the team will reach out to you and help you create that happy experiences of investments. Dear investor, hope the video that I have done today helped you to understand how you can create a happy experience of investing in this turbulent world. If it did give you a direction, please like this video. If you are a person who is watching this channel for the first time, or if you are yet to subscribe for the channel, please hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon. Do not forget to share this video with your near and dear ones, friends and relatives, and on all the WhatsApp groups on which you are connected with. Thank you very much for watching this episode on NRI Money Clinic. I shall be back with you next Friday with yet another thought on your life, your money. Till then, stay safe. Jai Hind.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.